2025 NFL rookies getting ready to debut in week 1 of the preseason. We're excited to see these guys take the field, and here's why.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I'm an NFL draft analyst with Bleacher Report. That's my guy, Keith Sanchez. He's a director of scouting with the Draft Network and 2019 national champion with those LSU Tigers. And as always, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. Guys, we got a fun one. Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Tyler Shough, Kaleb Johnson, TreVeyon Henderson, and Jacorey Croskey-Merritt. Guys that we're excited to see take the field in preseason and really be able to showcase what they're capable of, guys. So let's start with Cam Ward, Keith. The first overall pick for, I would say, man, for most of this post-draft process, like everybody keeps saying the same thing. He's the most least discussed first overall pick. Yep. Almost of all time, like when you think about like quarterbacks and everything else, and it's like, you know, we're talking about all these other quarterbacks, man. It's just like, wait, Cam Ward went first overall. Like, what are we doing? Like, and now I would, you pick Cam Ward here. I wonder. I would say this. I think when Cam Ward takes the field, that's probably gonna be must see TV for me this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with that, DP. And it's partly because of some of the reasons you outlined, right? Like just being the least discussed first round pick, like you said, potentially ever. And then that this guy, it's almost a mystery with Cam Ward in multiple different facets, right? Is that we see kind of a straight line guy. We don't know much about him kind of off the field, right? I think there was a quote where he said he probably talks to a total of 4 or 5 different people every day, right, outside of his teammates, and one of those people is including his dog, right? So this guy, he's kind of just out the way, and we kind of get to see him, right, because they haven't been a lot of headlines, but we know what drives headlines, and that's bad play at the end of the day, right? And so if he plays bad, then there'll be a lot of conversation. Unfortunately, he's a DP. This is the difference between playing for the Philadelphia Eagles, the Dallas Cowboys, one of those franchises, right? And then playing for the Tennessee Titans, is that, you know, it's small market teams. He went to a small market. And so we haven't heard a lot about him, but doesn't mean that he can't be one of those players that elevates his franchise. We talk about, you know, the AFC South with the Jaguars. It's the Jaguars, Titans, Colts, Texans, right? Could he, with this revamped Tennessee Titans offense, I want to see if he can make some plays, right? And potentially put Tennessee in a place to where you can't just look at them and put a W down for yourself, right? You have to go outside. You have to go out there and play some football. Can he be effective? Can he be efficient in what he does? But also, will he try to make those razzle-dazzle plays? Because every stop that we've seen Cam Ward, whether it was Incarnate Word, Washington State, Miami, he's made those flash and dash plays, and I want to see if it's able to translate. Can he be? Because and you know, you talked about it, right? Because we talked about it a couple episodes ago, like the Zach Wilson throw, right, from Pro Day. Well, Zach Wilson wasn't necessarily able to make that translate, right? And that's the difference between Zach Wilson and Patrick Mahomes. Where is Cam Ward going to fall? And I say, even if he falls somewhere in between being not a very good quarterback like Zach Wilson and one of the greatest of all time, and he falls somewhere in between a really good starter, you're in a good situation, right? You're in a good situation. So I'm excited to see Cam Ward for all of those reasons.
Yeah, I mean, same. You know, being able to go out there and see him in this offense with Coach Callahan, and you know that connection with him and Calvin Ridley. Like, first of all, how much do they play? Especially because it's like, okay, Calvin Ridley played in this offense last year. He knows the offense, things of that nature. But you have a rookie quarterback, so you want to get the rookie quarterback on the field and give him enough snaps and reps. Do you keep the number 1 wide receiver out there, you know, who you know is going to be pivotal for him in the regular season, right? So I'm looking forward to that. But also, like, do we see him with like Ayo Manor and different things like that? Get some of those young guys on the field with him.
Yeah, well, if I'm the coaching staff, without a doubt, you know who I put on the field with him? Xavier Restrepo. Familiar face.
For sure.
I without a doubt put on the field. Yeah, put on the field with him to lead, because you just want him to get positive momentum going, right? Like, and be like, you know what? I survived my first preseason game. It maybe wasn't all great, but it wasn't all bad neither. I feel like I can actually do this in the NFL. I could play quarterback in the NFL. But DP, I'm gonna flip this, and we're going to go to we got back-to-back AFC South teams. We're going to the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're gonna talk Mr. Travis Hunter, and I'll just go ahead and say this. I think the number one thing is he going to play both sides of the football, and what does it look like? I think that's the most important thing.
No, that's how I feel about it too, Keith. Because I mean, I think the reports come out that he's going to be listed as the wide receiver 2 of this offense, opposite of Brian Thomas Jr., and then he's going to be like that rotational backup corner. And most people are like, oh well, that's because they view him more better as a receiver. I'm like, no, this is about Trevor Lawrence. This is all about Trevor Lawrence. Like, you paid him, he hasn't had much success outside of that playoff game, and everything. You kind of need to figure this out, right, Keith? Like, you kind of need to figure out what do we have in Trevor Lawrence and everything. You brought a new OC head coach combination and Liam Cohen, things like that. And I think for me, it's like, they expect him to still play both sides, but again, it's like, how much? Like, how many snaps is he going to get on defense, right? I don't expect him to get to reignite that matchup against Ted McMillan week 1 when they played the Panthers. He's going to be catching passes, and probably as many passes as possible from Trevor Lawrence in that game. They're trying to put up 30, 40 points, man. They're trying to make sure Trevor Lawrence has what he needs to take that next step, right? Like, you can kind of the early stuff you can blame on coaching, but at some point you got to become the guy we paid you to be.
Yeah, I mean, and that's probably what's more important than if Travis Hunter can play both sides of the football is if Trevor Lawrence is a franchise quarterback, right? And that's where I agree with you from that standpoint of we got to go all in on Trevor, right? Because let's be honest, the play has been average from Trevor Lawrence to this point based off of what the expectations were. So is it going to be one of those situations where we keep him around because he was Trevor Lawrence, or are we going to try to move on at some point? But, and I always say this, DP, I'm all for surrounding young quarterbacks with as many pieces as possible and then being able to say, hey, it's either us or it was you, right? And you want to move on once you say you surrounded them with all the pieces and say it was you.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's the process I think every NFL franchise should take when it comes down to these quarterbacks. Stop, take the onus off yourself by building the team around them to where there's no excuses. So it's like, okay, listen, we got you the offensive line. You got the run game. We have receivers. Like, the only thing, make sure you have at least a competent defense. You don't have to have a 2000 Ravens defense, but have a competent defense. And it's like, okay, go out here and perform. And I think that's where the big thing with Travis Hunter and where he's playing, it goes back to Trevor Lawrence for me. But I want to see how they use him as well. Like, what kind of route concepts they're going to use him on. Is he going to, with Brian Thomas Jr. being the big explosive vertical playmaker, do you use Travis Hunter as kind of that pseudo chain mover? You know what I mean? In the quick game, because of his run after catch ability, his spatial awareness, his ability to make guys miss. I always go back to that first game at Colorado. Not first game, second game against at Colorado back in 2023. They played Nebraska. He catches that pass in the middle of the field, jukes two defenders and splits them, and they run head on into each other. You know what I mean? Things that you try to do on a video game, he did in the real actual game, right? But his ability, I always say, when he catches the ball and he's got the ball in his hands, he moves like a punt returner. He has so much spatial awareness to know where guys are, how to make guys miss, and get into daylight, into green grass. So do they use him as more of the short to intermediate guy that also can take the top off the defense? You know what I mean? And let Brian Thomas keep his role as that number one receiver that we need, that big play down the field, things of that nature. Him and Trevor Lawrence already have that chemistry. I want to see how much Travis Hunter plays, because I don't think you play him with the backup. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're going to play him with Trevor Lawrence. So yeah, it's a lot of things to be excited about coming out of the AFC South in general, from Cam Ward and that situation in Tennessee, and see how he Do you make a mistake on your first drive and they give you a second drive, you come back and correct it like you've done in practice, like seeing the natural growth from him and then seeing how the Jacksonville Jaguars deploy Trevor Hunter?
Yep, I agree with DP. Let's keep this thing going and flowing, man. We're going to talk Tyler Shough, right? Potential starter quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. And we're going to talk about Mr. Kaleb Johnson. Dude, the Pittsburgh Steelers finally have their complete RB1 in Mr. Kaleb Johnson. We're going to talk about those two guys coming up next.
Ever wish managing your money felt easier? With Monarch Money, it can be. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one single place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building the wealth that you've longed for. Same here for me. And when I started using Monarch to track our spending, I realized we were spending too much on takeout. Now we buy more groceries, we cook more inside, and we save more money. Take control over your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. And just use the code LOCKEDONNFL. And guys, you will get half off of your first year. Tyler Shough knee deep into a battle right now with Spencer Rattler for QB1. And depending on who you ask, Spencer Rattler might have the edge on him right now, the upper hand, man. Key, what are you looking forward to seeing from Tyler Shough in his first NFL action, his rookie debut?
Yeah, DP, when we go through prospects, right, I think there's a talent meter, right? Like as far as like overall talent and what we think the prospect can be. And then I think there's a confidence meter. I think the thing with Tyler Shough is his talent meter is all the way up there, right? Like 0 out of 10, it's an 8 or 9, like a lot of talent. Confidence meter for me, probably somewhere around a 4 or 5. Like I'm not fully sure. I'm not fully sure in it. And it's because the variance in what we've seen, even from last year, DP, and the fact that we've only seen it 1 year, right? I think he was a 5-year guy, I believe 5 or 6 year player in college football.
He's like 25 years old.
Yeah, and we've seen 1 year of it. And then even in the draft process, right? To say that this young man, you know what, he's top 40, definitely top 50 pick, top 40 pick. Seen him at the Senior Bowl, thought he was decent, right?
Yeah.
At the combine, it was all over the place, right? There was some different things. There were talks of changing arm angles and doing some different stuff, right? And then but when you watch the film, you're seeing good stuff too. So there was a lot of different things that you had to kind of take in with Tyler Shough. So I'm interested to see where does he land, right? Like, what is his kind of calling card? Like, we talk about some of these other quarterbacks, DP, like a Jalen Milroe. We know that he's a good athlete, right? Cam Ward, we know that, you know, the scramble ability and things like that is his calling card. We know with Shedeur Sanders, you know, he's going to be a time and anticipation guy and win with his IQ. What is Tyler Shough's calling card going to be there? You know what? If everything breaks down, I'm this. Or even if everything is right, you can say that, oh, okay, he's a highly accurate guy, or he's a good athlete, or he's this, right? I want to see what Tyler Shough does operating his offense, because it's important, because at the end of the day, DP, I think this QB battle is one where, how do I put this? I don't want to say it doesn't matter, because it matters, but you can probably expect the other guy to play too. Because for all intents and purposes, I think the consensus is the Saints will probably want to be one of the worst teams, right? So even if you get the nod at the very beginning of the season and you're starting QB1, your team's probably going to be bad. The fans are going to call for the backup, right? Whoever the backup is. So both guys are going to play, I think, is what's going to happen in this situation. So just be ready to rock and roll, because you're probably going to play at some point, whether it's initially starting the season or the back parts of this season. If the Saints don't do what everybody expect them to do and they're actually a good football team, then maybe you have a problem. But I think people are projecting the Saints to be pretty bad this year.
No, 100% they are. And I think for me, Keith, with Tyler Shough, the one thing, the main thing I want to see from him, because everything you said is correct. Talent level is there, arm talent. He's mobile. And I always praise him during the draft process of being able to get through his progressions, going from 1 to 2 to 3, and being able to handle full field reads, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where we looked at some guys, like we talked about, like with Jackson Dart at times, with Ole Miss, it was half field reads and different things like that, because that's how the offense was constructed, right? Like he actually handled full field reads. My biggest thing is now you got a live rush, and all the worst decisions that Tyler Shough makes is when he's pressured. Mm-hmm. And like I think in training camp, he threw an interception off his back foot. He tries to change the arm angle and things like that because he's backpedaling. I talked about that yesterday. I hate that backpedal drop back. He's backpedaling and he just fires a sidearm and it's low, but the defender ended up with the football. And I'm just like, yeah, no, you can't, like, you know what I mean? And that's just because the Saints defense, and it was full pads, and you got the red jersey on, so you know you're not getting hit. But they sent pressure. I think they sent they mugged the A gaps and they sent pressure, and he felt it and he threw a pick. And I'm like, okay, this is the stuff we can't have in the preseason, brother. Like, you're in a battle right now. Like, it's not like you're behind a Joe Flacco and like, yeah, we're gonna let Joe start the first 6 games, see how that goes, and then we plan on working you in. No, you're going up against a guy who was drafted last year in the 5th round by an old regime. Yeah, for Tyler Shough, I need him to go out here and handle the pressure better than he has throughout his college career and even through training camp. But Keith, Kaleb Johnson, man, one of my favorite running backs from the 2025 NFL draft, going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah, didn't have to change his colors. He's still in black and gold. You know what I mean? Still in that black and yellow, right?
Exact uniform almost.
right. So he gets to stay in that situation. His camp has been, when he's toting the rock, he's been fine. It's the pass protection, and it's like he's unrefined in that regard, which makes sense because Iowa don't throw the ball, so you don't have to pass protect. So like he was the entire offense last year, and I think that's going to be the big thing for him is when you get on the field, the coaching, the everything that you've been getting, can you apply that on those third downs? Because that's going to dictate how much you play this year. You got Aaron Rodgers back there as a starting quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is not going to have a running back that can't pass protect back there beside him on third downs, right? Like Kaleb Johnson can catch the ball as a functional threat out of the backfield, screens, flat passes, shallow stuff. He's not going to run a bunch of routes and everything. But then if he gets the ball, he gets the top speed. Now you got corners having to make a business decision with a 225-pound powerhouse running in their direction. He's got to pass protect. And that's going to be my biggest thing. The running the ball stuff, I'm not overly concerned with that, right? Like people may overreact to same they did with Amari and Hampton or whatever. Whatever. You know what I mean? Like you'll get used to the speed and the angles closing and all the stuff. That takes time. I need to see him improve as a pass protector. I need to see that in the first week of preseason because that's going to dictate how much you play as a rookie this season.
Yeah, and I think you hit on all the points. And I think for the Pittsburgh Steelers is about finding the true RB1, right? Like, and for a few years, it was we drafted Najee Harris in the first round, give him every opportunity to be that RB1. Unfortunately, things just didn't work out, right? Like it just seemed, like right person, wrong time, right person, wrong team. Like it just didn't work out, right? It was always felt like it was just always something that was preventing it from both sides, right? Offensive line, passing game, Najee himself, right? Coaching, right? Things like that. It just never synced together. But we look at Kaleb Johnson and the downhill thumper that he is. I think that it fits the Pittsburgh Steelers mantra. And he's a big body back, right? He's used to being the RB1, toting the ball 20 to 30 times a game. So just watching Kaleb Johnson and how he's able to process and get through an NFL game and how he's going to look in this offense. And this is past probably preseason game 1, right? Maybe more preseason game 2. How does he operate with Aaron Rodgers? I think it's going to be a big deal like a really big deal overall. But DP, we have some more running backs coming up, man. We're going Mr. TreVeyon Henderson, and then we're going Croskey-Merritt. Yes, we're doing 2 running backs. We're pulling off the board. Smaller, shifty guys, right? That can be explosive. What do we expect them to bring to their teams? We're gonna talk about that coming up next.
Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink minus the alcohol into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're sinking birdies or just making memories with friends, this one's a hole-in-one for your energy game. And let's be honest, some days on the course or off it, you just need that extra boost to stay sharp and energized. And golf is all about good times with good people. Good flavors, of course. The grape, ginger, and lime flavor gives you the best part of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the bev cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that's the number 5hourenergy.com, you can use my promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. This code is not good on subscription orders. So whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion-flavored 5-Hour Energy shots today. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and everyday shot for being our everydayers. Trevion Henderson, the second-round running back for the New England Patriots. He's been making waves in camp, getting praise for his speed, his explosiveness, his dynamicism that he brings to this offense. But I've seen clips of them using him as a receiver out in the formation. Keith, where he's lined up out wide, that short motion into a stack, and they run routes with him, right? I'm excited just to see that part of his game, right? Because this is a former, for those who don't know, you go back to his high school days, he played corner and receiver in high school. He played both, and running back too. But so he has that kind of a receiver background and everything. And I remember the Jahmyr Gibbs comps that was coming out late in the draft cycle. And I was like, I don't know about that. Jahmyr Gibbs moves like a slot receiver, man.
Different.
Yeah, he's a little different. But with TreVeyon Henderson, he does that explosiveness, that speed, and big playmaking ability, and then that usage in the passing game, does that translate into a real live game setting in this offense? Because I think Josh McDaniels is the OC now back in his old seat with the New England Patriots. We know one thing he's always had: pass catching running backs. The James Whites, the Danny Woodheads of the world, those guys. I don't know if he wasn't the OC when Kevin Falk was there, but the different
Dion Lewis, right?
Dion Lewis, yeah. They have a lineage of guys, man. So I'm excited to see what TreVeyon Henderson is able to do, Keith, because this is a offense that if Ramondre Stevenson holds onto the football, him and TreVeyon could be a very good 1-2 punch for Drake May to take some of that pressure off the second-year quarterback.
Yeah, and I'll say this. It's the one word you said, and that was explosiveness. And we talk about this Patriots offense taking the next step forward because just over the past few years, DP, it's been very bland, right? It's been very hard to create explosive plays and for them to move the football. And we keep looking towards the wide receiver core, but another way they can become explosive is because of the running back position, right? Being able to get a guy in space and pick up 20, 30, 40 yards, chunk plays, almost with the Detroit Lions, right? And you can give Jahmyr Gibbs credit for that with his arrival, the Lions took another step with being an explosive offense. That we not only have to worry about the wide receivers, but we have to worry about the running back out of the backfield, right? Whether that's in passing routes or that's just him simply taking a handoff, the linebackers doesn't fit it right, and he takes it to the house. And we've seen TreVeyon Henderson do that. That was the semi games against Texas, right?
Yeah.
And he took the screen right before the end of half, and that seemed like that was the play that probably kind of finished the game, right? Like that was the play for Texas where it was kind of like, oh man, I don't know if you're going to be able to recover from that one. So I'm right there with you, TreVeyon Henderson. I'm looking for explosive plays. I'm looking for him to add an explosive element from the backfield, and I say he's just as important to his position group than what it is some of these young wide receivers that we're expecting to take a step forward to push the wide receiver core.
Absolutely. I'm excited to see just how they use them. And like I said, that speed, the playmaking ability, And yeah, like you got a guy that could take it 60 on the screen. Like, you know what I mean? And he's so patient. That's the thing about it, is that he knows he's fast. He knows he's explosive. But he's like, yeah, I'm not going to outrun my blocks. I'm going to let these guys get in front of me, create that valet service, right? And then once that opening gets there, I'm shifting to high gear, Keith. But in the same game, because the Patriots play this team, Jacorey Croskey-Merritt, like the running back out of Arizona. Off the radar guy. No, I think was it I don't know if it was academic ineligibility, but it was something weird. Yeah. Something weird in college, like last year. I think he might have played the first game and then, oh, you're not eligible anymore. I'm like, how is that eligible for game one?
Of transfer portals and NIL. Right. We still have players that the people they're trying to tell us are not eligible.
We still can't figure this stuff out in college football. They, I don't know. They have to figure themselves out. But I think I'm excited for him, Keith, because like I think he could be the future of this rushing attack. Right. We've said that we've talked about the fact like Brian Robinson is a solid back, good like first, second down guy. He's more of a downhill plotter than anything. A downhill like hammer type. Jacorey Croskey-Merritt brings that juice, that electricity, the elusiveness, shiftiness to this run game. Especially, I think he's just a really good pairing with Jaden Daniels in the backfield on rundowns. Whereas, like, now because the big thing is, all right, it's one thing when you got Brian Robinson back there. And it's like, okay, well, it's an inside zone, going to get 3, 4, maybe 5. With Jacorey, it's like, all right, if I don't close on him, he's got enough juice and speed to make this a 20, 30, 40-yard run. But then on the flip side, if I close on him, now I'm giving Jaden Daniels the edge, and we all know what that looks like in open field. So it gives you that type of headache. And I think this is a guy that also could potentially catch passes out of the backfield for this offense as well. I just think his skill set just fits. It fits. I'm saying that Brian Robinson is going to be exiled from the offense. He could be their James Conner, their power back downhill, especially if you got a lead against the Eagles and you want to try and, run that 6-8 minute offense. It's probably going to be Brian Robinson. Like, you know what I mean? You probably going to use Brian Robinson to try and drain the clock and different things like that. He can run that offense late in the game. But for the big plays and the consistency, I think Jacorey Croskey-Merritt is the guy that I think could be that dude for them. And I'm excited just to see him in live action. He hasn't played a football game since, the beginning of last season?
Yep.
So 100%. One thing is good. He's fresh, Keith. His body's fresh.
Well, DP, and I don't think you're wrong with your synopsis of that, because look what the Washington Commanders have done, right? Brian Robinson was there, and then they went in and got the veteran Austin Eckler, right? And then now you go move fast forward another year later, they drafted Jacorey Croskey-Merritt. So they identified that they need to simply just become more dynamic at the running back position. And he's an off-the-radar guy. Not a lot of people know about him because he just didn't have the opportunity to make a lot of waves, right, during the season. But I'm right there with you, DP. I think you talk about those read options. You're talking about swing passes. Talk about things like that on the perimeter is for them to get explosive. And this wide receiver core, they need to bring back Scary Terry, first of all. And then secondly, with Deebo Samuel and McCaffrey, it's not necessarily an explosive wide receiver core. Yeah. Good wide receivers, they're not explosive though. So you need another added element. There kind of is. I guess it's good that we picked both of these teams because they're kind of in the same position, trying to find out what is the most explosive version of our offense.
For sure, and I think that's gonna be like the biggest. That's gonna be the biggest thing for them is adding that explosiveness, finding that consistency of just big plays. And just mixing and matching touches, right? Ride the hot hand. If Brian Robinson's hot, cool, ride it. But if Jacorey Croskey-Merritt is cooking, let him cook. And I think that's the guy that eventually could end up taking the lead in this RB room. And I think it starts with his first impression in preseason.
Yep, 100% with DP. That wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us. because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube. Wherever you listen to podcasts, you get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Guys, come and join the conversation. Come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.